With 9 Grammy Awards and 14 nominations, 38 concert tours worldwide, and 11 studio albums that span 4 decades, the Titans of Thrash remain the standard by which all other metal is measured. We begin with a 1984 classic from their second album, For Whom the Bell Tolls, followed by the 1992 tour anthem, Wherever I May Roam. And then, let's turn down the house and light up the stage with the Auburn University Marching Band and their show, Metallica.
It's Wednesday evening once again, and that means it's time for another Auburn Family Night. This is our weekly live call-in show where we discuss the Auburn experience with you, our viewers and listeners. Let's jump into all things orange and blue right now. War Eagle, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we talk about the Auburn experience. What is that Auburn experience? Well, we define it as a few different things. We define it as Auburn sports, Auburn culture, and Auburn family stuff to encompass all of it. Anything else that doesn't fit into those categories. Maybe an easier way to say it and a better way to say it is if it's orange and blue, it is what we do. So we thank you so much for joining us in what we do this evening. As is typically the case on Wednesday evenings, most of them, we get together and have just a little bit of a family chat. We talk about anything and everything orange and blue. We're going to take your comments, your questions, topics, and of course your calls, meaning that our phone line is now available for anybody that wants to take advantage of that this evening. It's always brought to you by our friends at All Things Auburn.net. Please visit them for a great place to stay at Auburn, but not just to stay, but to have a great Auburn experience, what we're talking about here today. So you can call in, take advantage of that if you'd like. We'll start taking calls in just a little bit. I'm going to set the table for us this evening. You all can start dropping your topics and questions and things that you'd like for us to discuss for our hour show tonight. But I will get us going and get us started. As you're coming in, smash that like button. Let us know that you're here with a War Eagle, where you're watching from, all that good stuff. It helps get the show rolling and the chat going. Everybody to know that you're here and hanging out with us this evening. Okay, so what's been going on in the Auburn space? We didn't have one of these last week because we had a basketball conflict. I will go ahead and pre-warn you. We'll talk about it in a little bit, where we will most likely not have an Auburn family night next week because of dynamics with basketball, my travel / Thanksgiving. All of it's kind of colliding. It's not officially confirmed. We won't do it next week. We'll talk about it at the end of the show. But most Wednesday nights, we're here to talk about these things. What's been happening? A lot has happened. We got us a win versus ULM. Certainly can talk about that some more, looking towards Texas A&M. Lots been happening in the basketball space. I don't think that we've been together as an Auburn family night session since the altercation that happened. Certainly, if you'd like to dive into that some more, we could in the appropriate ways. There's been the biggest controversy of all has been the bald eagle situation in Auburn. I'm somewhat informed on the situation. I won't act like I'm an expert on the situation, but I am an expert, or at least I'll call myself one, in that field and conservation of birds, given my background and stuff like that. So I feel like I have some, I don't know what you'd call it, resume to deal with speaking on that subject. That's out there. But plenty of things that you can discuss in the Auburn experience, whether they are Auburn sports, Auburn non-sports, or anything orange and blue related. Let's hear from you this evening. I'm going to start us off with talking about this basketball team. Folks, how awesome is this basketball team right now? Let's keep things in context. Obviously, things are a little bit, early to be making big overdrafting proclamations and predictions about things. Certainly, the way they're performing makes you wonder how far they could or could not go. I am one that tends to be a little bit more cautious these days, probably more than I should have been. I should have been more in my younger years about how hyped I get about something. But certainly what I see in this basketball team and this basketball program in general is the makings of something that could be very, very special, but certainly a big Maui Invitational coming up here in a couple of days, which we will be doing post-game shows for. So stay tuned for those. Some of those are going to be very late ones. So I hope y'all are ready to stay up for them. But it could be very exciting ones that you may want to stay up for. So certainly could dive into that some more, but I just wanted to acknowledge that, I love basketball season, and the fact that Auburn's getting to participate in so many of these things is pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. He said, Dalton says it's time to throw caution to the wind with basketball, Kyle. Let your hair down. He clarified himself there. I have no hair to let down. That's why I wear a hat now. No, that's not honest. Honestly, I didn't start wearing a hat on the streams because I have no hair, but for other reasons I won't get into. It also kind of helps keep things nice and framed. It's another Auburn thing on the logo. You would be surprised how many people don't know that this is an Auburn show. I get that the background's a little fuzzy by design, but you can clearly see that. My hand's right. That's an Auburn helmet right there. I mean, what else could that be? Maybe a South Carolina logo. Maybe if you squint hard enough to make it be one. I mean, it's clearly Auburn, orange and blue through and through. Although I think my background lights over there are a little bit discolored today. I got to go check on those. I think that's more. It might be all right. We'll go look at it later. Anyway, Dane, good to see you. War Eagle, thanks for hanging out with us this evening. We're just getting started. All right, Dalton wants us to dive into what is this bald eagle situation. So let me just go ahead and put this out there and caution you. If you know about this situation, chances are you have already made your decision what side of the fence you fall on this. Should I say what side of the tree that you fall on this particular scenario. My best advice to you is to not be so overly emotional about it and dogmatic and you're on the right or the wrong side of things. Essentially what we have here is in Auburn's continual development of its area and surrounding areas for more and more people, more land gets continued to eat up. So a developer had purchased some land to build a new housing of some type. And on this property, there was apparently in one tree a very prominent and well-known bald eagle's nest, because they do mate for a long time and they do come back to their sites if it's a good site, or they just don't get fancy to go somewhere else. So there was some pushback to not tear the thing down, the tree down, which is in the way of their development, and it is under their purview to do so. And before some further discussions could be had about it, especially from the community, in the dead of night, there goes the tree. So some people are saying that this was done outside of the rules, outside of what was allowed. There are some discussions about when you can and can't disturb a eagle's nest. And I know that people are going to swear that they have all the information on that. I promise you don't. Unfortunately, this is one of those things that gets certain sects of our society and even within our family that overemphasize certain parts of things that aren't even truly like related directly to Auburn, that activism and stuff like that. It just gives them a calling card to come on into battle. So that's got some stuff stirred up. Certainly, I would say on the developer side of things, whatever decision was made, you had to kind of count the cost on this and what was going to be the blowback of already pushback from it. And then certainly the fact that Auburn has a very big fondness towards eagles, bald eagles. You got to wonder, was there a better way to go about this? And there might have been, may not have been. I don't know. But chances are, if you think you know everything about this situation, I can promise you, you don't. It's a good rule of thought for most things in life. Anyway, I hope I painted the picture somewhat good. I didn't honestly think we'd start with that, but at least it's out there if y'all want to further discuss it and things like that. But it is this is how big the story was on game day last week. You would have thought it would still been the typical thing. Oh, we shouldn't have started Peyton Thorne at quarterback. No, the talk everywhere was about the bald eagles and the tree coming down and stuff like that. It was wild. It was very wild. Randy, good to see you, my friend. I saw you pop in there, one of our Georgia friends that comes in. What is your professional bird guy opinion on it? Again, I've chosen, not chosen. I have chosen. Chose. I'm a science-based guy, not an English guy. To not get so down into the weeds on this thing, I will tell you from my time working in that field that has a touch of activism at times. And I tend to lean away from those type of things because to me, it does more damage to the cause of conservation and causing people to care more about the birds when we make big fusses about things. Um, that's just kind of how I feel about it, to be honest with you. I hate that there was apparently a nest taken down that was very well established. But birds will be resilient, or some birds will be. Now, I will. How do I say this without getting myself in trouble? I have a certain opinion about bald eagles. That's not very popular. I share in private that I won't share here. Uh, but anyway, so I guess there's not really an opinion I can have solidly on that, other than I just don't get overly involved in things that are activism, have a touch of over activism in them. All right, Devin says War Eagle, tough season for volleyball. Probably not even going to make the tournament, which is sad. They have Devin. I guess I need to go back and apologize to you because right at the start of their downskid, I told you, I said, you know, what did I just get? I just got a message from somebody. Hold on, let's see here. Anyway, that just threw me off. Anyway, I will say that I should go back and apologize to you a little bit about pushing back on that. We were going on a skid in volleyball because certainly we did that from this point forward, which is it's kind of hard to understand because we look so good. But I guess if baseball season taught us anything, you can look great in non-conference, and then when you get into the rough and tumble SEC, you can fall off a little bit. Same thing for volleyball, I guess. But I still love that program and I love going to support them. And I hope you all do as well. All right. We've got our caller that's been waiting for a little bit. We'll go ahead and get him in. You guys can get geared up. Click that link if you'd like to. And we'll certainly dive into a few of those things and take some more comments and questions. But for now, let's say hello to our good friend, mine and yours. Uh-oh, it switched around on me. Hang on. There we go. There he is, Mr. Kevin. What's going on?
War Eagle, Cal.
How you doing, buddy?
Fine.
Fine, just fine.
How about my Cam Coleman?
How about your Cam Coleman? 3 touchdowns, 100 yards exactly. What a day for Cam Coleman,
huh? Jarquez Hunter.
Jarquez had himself a day, got down to 100 yards, broke the 1,000-yard mark for the season. He's just making records.
And we're going to beat Texas A&M and Alabama.
Well, that's quite the prediction. I'm not ready to go there exactly with you yet, but I feel much better about that Texas A&M game today than I felt about it a few games ago. How about that?
Yeah, I want to come to the game this Saturday, but I might have to go back to Mobile because my mother's in the hospital.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, buddy. I really am. I hope she's going to do okay, and hopefully everything works out well there. But I hate that's happened in any situation, but I hate that also that means you won't be able to enjoy the game from campus this week.
How about the basketball team?
Doing pretty good, aren't they? How about that Houston win? That was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was fun.
That was a lot of fun. They've been doing well.
When do we play Duke?
I believe we are about, I think it's, I don't know the exact date. Maybe somebody can look it up in the chat.
December 4th.
Did you figure it out? December 4th? Is that right? Okay, there you go. So we got this Maui Invitational. I think we come back for a smaller game and then Duke. I could be wrong. But hey, I'm looking forward to that one too. We got a lot of big games this year.
And the Auburn women plays at Oregon tonight.
I saw that. Yeah. So we got our Auburn basketball teams just traveling all over the place. We got them going over to the West Coast and then the far, far West Coast as well, to Hawaii. Wouldn't that be nice, Kevin, to go Hawaii?
Yeah.
I'd love to go there someday. I've almost been twice, and it's
was it fun?
I haven't been yet. Like I've tried to go 2 times to Hawaii, and both times it failed. So Yeah, maybe someday I can go back. Maybe when
And
they go back for the Maui Invitational again, I can go back.
And I hope we win the Maui Invitational.
Yep, what we're just talking about. I agree. It's a big, big tournament. It's probably, in my opinion, it's the best early season tournament.
Who's the teams are in there?
Well, let me get them all listed for you here real quick, and I'll give you the whole rundown. But I can tell you the big ones at least. We're playing, Iowa State in the first round, and then you've got also UConn that's going to be part of it. Here I said, oh my. Here's your list. Memphis and UConn will be playing first, then Colorado and Michigan State, then Auburn and Iowa State, and then Dayton and North Carolina. So whoever wins goes to the winner's side of the bracket. The other goes to I hate to say it, but the loser's side of the bracket. And then you play a tournament.
I hope we go winner's bracket.
I hope so too. But the important thing here is to, I think, get out of there with more than one win, or hopefully 2 wins. If you take
how about 5 wins?
Well, that's mathematically impossible because you only play 3 games.
Oh,
but if you mean be 5-0, certainly you might be able to do that after this Iowa State game. But there's only 3 games that you're going to play. So if you can get out of there with a 2-1 situation, I'd be very, very happy with that.
Yeah, and I think the defense, Auburn defense, will step up again this Saturday night.
It's not a very hot take because they've been doing very well over the last several games. So I think you're probably right. They will step up again. That young talent is getting the opportunities and taking advantage of them.
DeMarcus Riddick.
How about him, man? He's making a name for himself, isn't he? Flying around there.
I hope we get that Naman Alford.
Yeah, we might get him, but we've got a great class with or without him. If he wants to come be part of history, then certainly there's an opportunity for him.
And Deuce Knight was at Auburn's game.
I saw that. Made a lot of people excited and happy to see him there. But obviously, signing day is coming around the corner, and we'll be talking about that a lot more.
Is it December 4th?
That sounds right. It sounds right. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's correct.
And my high school team, we made it to.
Who's the team?
The second round of the state playoffs, and we were undefeated.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah, we got beat by Leeds. Birmingham.
Okay. Well, it sounds like y'all had a pretty good team overall, though. So that's great to hear, buddy. I want to go ahead.
And we will have all 15 singers coming back next year.
Wow, man. Listen, y'all loaded up over there. That's pretty cool. Yeah. That's pretty sweet. All right. Before you go, give me a score prediction for Auburn, Texas A&M. Put yourself on the record.
Auburn 35, Texas A&M 21.
35-21, Auburn beats Texas A&M. You heard it here first, folks. We'll see if Kevin ends up being right.
And we will go 5-6.
5-6?
Yeah.
At that time we will be 5-6.
Yeah.
And it'll be gotta stay in the win column the rest of the way
to
go to a bowl game.
Is it televised?
Yes, it should be televised. I think I don't know what channel it's on, but I would imagine that is going to be on TV. There's pretty much no SEC game that's not on TVs these days.
I could go to one of my friend's house.
Well, there you go. You looks like you got a solution, but I'm sure we'll talk about it some more next week, and we'll see if your prediction was right. But thanks for hanging out with us this evening.
And I think our women's basketball team will beat Oregon tonight.
You may be right. We're gonna be rooting for them. All right, buddy.
War Eagle.
All right, War Eagle, Kevin. Bye. We got to hear from Kevin tonight, one of our regular callers. Let's hear from some of you guys this evening, too. Don't be shy. Hit that link in the top of the chat. It's over here on YouTube. I think, if I'm not mistaken, on Facebook, you can access it, too. I could be wrong, but I think the way I've done it now, it should at least, maybe not pinned at the top of the chat, but it should be up there. I could not verify that. But if it's there and you want to take advantage of it, please do so. We'd love to just hear your voices or see your smiling faces. You don't have to put your face on camera, but certainly when people like Kevin are able to do that, that makes it great. Let's see here. Corey says, Devin, Hugh needs to borrow your spatula this weekend. He's got some flipping to do, especially on the O-line. We worked in one of our inside jokes here in our chat into Auburn stuff. That's the kind of stuff you get here. Before you know it, there will be a reference to the Dustbuster and the Uber driver. And y'all let the ghost thing die off in here, which, by the way, I don't think we've seen. What that used to be is when we would do these shows about maybe a month or two ago, there was this shadow that would just all of a sudden come out of nowhere over one of my shoulders here. And you know what may it be when I started using this light over here in the background, which do y'all like that or not? It does take away from that blue thing a little bit. You can see the blue hue, but I think it works nicely. I think that took away that weird shadow thing that would happen. We never figured out what it was. We just called it the ghost. And then the weirdest thing is that I came and did a show on the road. I think this season, this season for one of the football post-game shows, and that shadow showed up again. It was the weirdest thing. It was kind of creepy. I'm gonna be honest with you. But anyway, so what else? What else is on your minds? Everybody's a little bit on the quiet side tonight. What do you got on your minds, Auburn related? Corey says it was Austin creeping in the background. Well, if Austin spent his highly valuable time away from his children, which he loves dearly, and his wife, who always needs his help with twin boys, to do that is some true commitment, because that's a couple hours drive to show up here and cast a shadow, especially without me knowing. I mean, that I would literally have to. The only way that he could get in here without me knowing is there's a window right over here that he would have to hope that I'm looking this direction and not make a single sound. But you never know, right? I guess Austin is a little bit wily that way. I guess we shouldn't put it past him to creep in and wreak havoc with the show, or wreak havoc with us winning a game on the road, which was the thing that we ran him into the ground for all last season, going to basketball games and ruin our time there when he went to Tuscaloosa. But I think he's proven now that he is he's not susceptible to that anymore. Okay. How are we feeling about the game, y'all? We're going to talk about it a lot tomorrow, preview, predictions, all that stuff. I'm going to do my score predictions tomorrow. But I hope those of you that are able to, whether that be time, financial wise, able to come to Auburn, will do so. It's going to be, I think, an incredible day of atmosphere. I think it's going to be one of those things where we look back and go, oh, that was a special night. And whether it's the result or not that we want, but we got to enjoy what has happened very few times this year, a night game. And I think we had the night game on the first game and the third game, and that's it. And I'm not sitting here acting like somehow we should have some exclusive rights to night games, but I feel like we should get more than 3 at home. I think everybody should have to have at least one of their home games be the 11 o'clock for the SEC, especially. That's just fair, right? It's just the way it should go around. Nobody likes to play at 11 o'clock and things like that. And then you can understand a lot of them being at the 2:30, 3:30 kickoff. But what I can't understand is when they're 2:30, 3:30, 11 o'clock in the dead heat of September in the South. Think we could make that work out a little bit for us. Make all the people up in Kentucky and Nashville, even Knoxville, who up in the mountains, make them have to have all the heat of the day games. Let us in the deep South, the deepest part of the South, Alabama, your Alabamas, your Auburns. I'll throw Athens in there, your Florida, South Carolinas, LSUs, Mississippi's have the games where we don't have to get blistering hot. Those people in Texas and Oklahoma, they just got here, so they don't matter. Corey wants to know who's visiting this weekend. Well, Corey, you should know this about me, unless anybody else knows in the chat. I do not concern myself with who's visiting because they don't mean anything to me right now. And I don't mean that as harsh as it sounds. It's just I don't spend my time fretting about it. But I'm sure there's a plethora of people that people will be excited about coming to Auburn. But when they commit is when I will certainly get excited about them and start talking about them some more. Jacob says, where'd it go? LSU seems to have the rights to those. It does feel that way, doesn't it? Now, granted, if your team's not doing well, which most would agree Auburn is not in the grand scheme of it, based on results, that doesn't help your case for getting some of those primetime matchups. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. You got, excuse me, wow, that came out of nowhere. You got to be able to warrant having those time games that you're going to garner that much interest. But people just seem to know and universally recognize that when Auburn is playing at night, they just do crazy things, and it's awesome, even if they don't win. Devin says, will we ever get a night game for the Iron Bowl? It has happened. I've lived through it, but typically, no. Whenever you ask a question about, is this ever going to happen? Is that going to ever happen? What you have to ask is, where's the money at? And you got to think about it this way. I think a lot of us have a hard time recognizing that the money can be made outside of the prime time 7:00 game. For me, it took a lot just like to fathom with that. But truly, the SEC, in my opinion, has locked out this niche of 2:30, 3:30 big time games. It's enough for college game to be over. It's enough before people start doing things on Saturday nights. And you say, who does anything on a Saturday night during football season? Just go ask your friends who plan their weddings and during football season. I'm aware mine was too. I didn't really have much say in that, but I digress. But if it's all about the money. The money is in that 2:30, 3:30 Central Eastern slot, and it's always been locked down by the primetime SEC game. Now, sometimes you move those up that they're so big, so many big implications that they want it at the night slot. But typically, they have found the most success for the Iron Bowl, especially it being at that time. So I think that's unfortunately going to be the reason why you don't get to see that much more. I hated the Iron Bowl right after Thanksgiving. I hope we don't go back to that. I remember those. It wasn't too far in the distant past, but just knocked the camera. Sorry about that. I actually didn't hate it. I don't know why. I don't remember hating that as much, but what I understand and acknowledge is the effect it has on especially the economies of maybe even the town that the game's being held in for Black Friday shopping. You're taking away a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of focus from spending money elsewhere that certain revenue streams need that don't need to be focused on, food and drinks and tailgating supplies and stuff. They need some of these other things focused on for Black Friday. So I could take it or leave it. I mean, it feels weird not having it on a Saturday, but it was kind of cool. Like I always thought when LSU and Arkansas, I believe, used to play on that Friday game because the Egg Bowl was always on Thanksgiving, and then it was LSU Arkansas. That felt kind of like cool and exclusive. I was like, well, can't we lock that out for ourselves and make the Iron Bowl the day after Thanksgiving? I mean, everybody got together in Alabama anyway for Thanksgiving. That's part of that crowd. So why not let we just do it for 2 days and made like a family get together? I don't know. It doesn't have to make sense, but it was the day after. So Black Friday is when the game was being held for a couple of years, and a lot of lamenting about it. A lot of people frustrated, and see Corey pointing out another angle for those of us who have to work, don't get to watch it. So there is that as well. And which is ultimately probably why it never continued. It was probably something they wanted to experiment with, thinking it could lock out its niche, but a lot of the general working populace can't get off for that Friday. They get off for their Thursday to go to Thanksgiving dinner and then have to come back to work the next day. Not everybody gets to take off that full thing. But such is life sometimes. Anyway, all right. What else is out there? What else are you focused on? What else are you interested in discussing? What do we got? What other stories? We have dove into the Auburn Bald Eagles situation. We have talked about the basketball team a little bit, and we've also talked about. Have we talked about? Nobody's really jumped into the Texas A&M talk yet. And I know I said I would cover most of my thoughts and stuff tomorrow on the show, but certainly it feels like you guys would have had some opinions and things about that. Excuse me, coming up here soon. I hope you guys can join us tomorrow night for that show. It's going to be fun as it always is, preview and predicting the score, things of that nature. A quick little note that I noticed today. It looked like Aubie is on his way to being in competition for another national championship. I think he is currently ranked in their whatever rankings they have as like number 3 and already selected to go compete down there. And I think it's in Disney World where they compete, if I'm not mistaken. So we could be celebrating another Aubie national championship, which would be his 13th, I think. Maybe. I think it's 13th. Coming up pretty soon here. Latrell cheering him on. Brian checking in from the Great White North. Good to see you, my friend. Thanks for hanging out tonight. Yeah, so he'll have an opportunity to compete here coming up. I think they do their competitions in like January. That feels like when the excitement of college is over with, and certainly that's when they probably have some more time to do things like that. If there's any Auburn baseball fans out there, we just put out the press conference for the end of fall ball. You can find that on YouTube here, Facebook, if you want to watch it. I love listening to Coach Butch Thompson talk about the team, so I'd highly encourage you to go watch that and listen to it to give you some perspectives about the team. I'm encouraged about what I hear. We'll probably even put some snippets out from it soon because I think there's some real good and insightful stuff for the roster coming up. And that construction is really moving along. So before you know it, we'll be talking some baseball here soon. I think we're going to have a rejuvenated year behind a rejuvenated stadium. And things are going to get pretty interesting over there. I'm hoping to have a reason to come to town a little bit more for some baseball series this spring. Corey says, I bet having the Iron Bowl the day after Thanksgiving was one of Danielson's ingenious ideas. Gary Danielson. He makes no friends, does he? And every fan, no matter if it's Auburn or Alabama fan of the Iron Bowl, are convinced he's against them. But we can all point to who he usually cheered for or had no problems making it clear who he was aligning himself more towards in that game. Devin wants to know thoughts on Elko's slip of the tongue at the press conference being focused on Texas. Well, let's talk about it two different ways. Let's talk about probably what actually just happened and the fun part of it. Here's the context and reality. It truly just was a slip of the tongue. That's all it was. You're talking about the question he was being asked was about Texas and Auburn and about, are you going to overlook Auburn, thinking about Texas and how big that matchup is going to be just in general, but coming back for the first time playing each other in that rivalry. And then at the end, he says, we're focused on Texas. I mean, Auburn. It truly was a slip of the tongue. What's awesome about it is it gives us bulletin board material, locker room material without even, and it's just a mistake he made. That's all it was. What I hate is when people try to act like, oh, he truly isn't focused on Auburn. No, it happens all the time. Those of you that have watched me here mix up names on the podcast, no, I truly wasn't, overlooking something. It truly just was me getting two different things that we're talking about at the same time. Wires crossed. Doing it right now. But it certainly makes for good talking points. And if you needed any other extra motivation to get the boys ready for this upcoming game, you just got it. You just got it. So we'll see if that comes to play. And if Auburn is able to win, does that come back to bite them in some way? Bryant, good to see you. Thanks for hanging out with us. Something related to that game. Oh, actually, I'll come back to that in a second. Bad mistake, though. You're right. Bulletin board material. Certainly. And I hope that the boys don't need that to motivate them, but certainly we'll use whatever we can get, right? Whatever we can get. So also this week, and I had this happen live while we were doing one of our TikTok streams. If you're not on TikTok, you're missing out on a little bit of stuff because those are somewhat daily kind of conversations like this. We had it revealed to us from some of our viewers while we were doing that yesterday. I missed it completely. That Auburn's doing another light up show for the band is doing another light up show. Now it's the same show that you saw last time, not last game, but because that was something for the honor band. This upcoming show is the Viva La France show that they did for Vanderbilt, but it's going to be at night and they're utilizing that technology again. How awesome is that going to be? I am so excited about that. I will do my best to capture something that justifies that and putting it up there and looks good. It did last time when we did it on for the Metallica game. If you haven't watched that one, it's still our most viewed video to date. It's crazy that it's still getting the amount of views that it does. So I hope you guys will go watch it on YouTube. We'll put that out. I'll probably run that by noon Sunday because we're gonna be done late. I'm gonna be going somewhere else to stay that night. Going to visit family, so it'll take me a while to do that, get back, edit it, put it out, and get it ready for you guys. Devin says, I just can't bring myself to get a TikTok. I waste enough time on X. I will tell you that I probably enjoyed TikTok a little bit more than I should than X right now. Not for X is more of an informational aggregate kind of thing. TikTok is just for entertainment. And it presents opportunities to a lot of the people that have come over here found us because of TikTok. So, and I also don't act like it's not a factor that there's some, and I'm not saying you have this, Devin, but there's some political things that go like people will swear against TikTok and then some people now swear against X, and there's some of that at play in all of this discussion. But I think it's a lot of fun and it's definitely opened up some avenues for us to continue to grow our audience a little bit more these days. So I enjoy it a ton and hope you guys will go check it out sometime. Who knows, Devin? We may need someone with a ladle or whatever it is, a spatula, to come in there and smack some people around. I will tell you that our audience that we have on TikTok tends to be a little bit more, I don't want to say rough around the edges, but they need more culling. So you might find me a little less, I don't want to say likable there, but I tend to have to be a little bit more forward with putting some people in their places for some of the ridiculous things that they're saying. Because what I've discovered is they've never had any pushback on it, like legitimate people who can make good points push back on it. And so you kind of have to kind of show them, hey, what you're saying here, you're just making yourself and Auburn look like an idiot. And then you get the Bama fans. What never seems to fail is you put at the title Auburn topics only, and then you just get inundated with RT. Continue to show how, obsessed they are. All right, we got another caller getting ready to get set up to come on. We'll bring him on in just a second. You guys can take advantage of that phone line too. We still got about 20 minutes left in the stream, so don't be shy. Join in on the conversation, and we will get you on here and let people hear your voice. His screen went dark, so we'll wait a few more minutes before we bring him on. At least it looks, in my green room, it looks dark. So you guys don't know how all this works behind the scenes. For all you know, I'm just like the puppet master pulling the strings everywhere. Anyway, we'll get him on when I can find him in the green screen. And maybe he is. Actually, let's give it a try. Maybe we can hear him. Oh, it says they need to connect their mic and cam. So yeah, we'll wait a second and see how that works out. All right, what else? We've taken some weird angles tonight on all of this. What else? What else do you guys want to talk about? Oh, let's see if we can get him in over here. I think he is ready now. Brian, you there?
Here, can you hear me?
I can. And guess what? I see two of you. Not on the screen right now, but I have two of you in the green room. That's really weird.
That is very weird.
Yeah.
When you said that, I reloaded it, so maybe that happened. I didn't want to show my, face this evening.
Why not? We want to see your smiling face, sir. No, you do whatever you want. How are you doing this evening?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. I'm excited to go back to Auburn, but also it makes it real that this is the last home game of the season, man.
Oh, it's sad, isn't it? Sad.
It really is. And it's kind of sad also. It's good and sad at the same time. The only thing on campus this week is Auburn football. And that's it. But I love so much being able to do more things around the football game.
Yeah.
The day before, the day after, all that stuff. But there's literally nothing unless I misread the calendar. So it's just football this week.
It's just football. And it's 6:30 kick, right?
6:30 kick. So we got all day to get tailgated, I'm
so jealous of that from when I was there a couple weeks ago. We got 11:45. But whatever. I still had a great day in Auburn.
I'm of the opinion, and I think we talked about this when we were sitting together, that I like the 11:45 much better than I like that 11 kickoff.
Yeah, those 45 minutes matter. They do.
It does.
Sure. They do. But it's still, and I don't mean this like they should work their calendar around me, obviously, but like when I go, I'm going down there for the weekend, and it's flying down, and it's all that, and I just love the full day in Auburn. And there is something about, you can still spend the full day after the game, but it's just not the same as the build up to
certainly.
But
we get to have our focus solely on the game at hand. That's it. Hopefully there won't be any more bird drama this weekend, but
no bird drama. And I'll say this, it goes so fast, right? Like a minute ago, it was August, and we were talking about football season and what's our projection for the season, all that stuff. And I think even when you're having a bad season, which obviously this hasn't been one of our best,
right?
You just have to enjoy them because they go so fast.
Right.
And they're fun, and there's nothing. There truly is nothing like it. I was reminded of that being back there a couple weeks ago. So
you think the guy that was sitting behind us that through an artery basically is enjoying it?
No, I don't.
You remember that guy?
And that's just, maybe this isn't the right hobby for you. I don't know, but
Oh my gosh. What we're referencing, sorry, this is inside. So I went to go sit with Brian because they invited me down to come sit with them the second half of the Vanderbilt game. And this one guy, that is probably the most I have ever seen someone lose their mind in just a short segment. Like I've been very upset before. I've said some things I probably should never repeat after that 3-2 one. It was a win, Mississippi State win, but I don't think I've ever reached the level that man was upset. I think he was upset because people were booing somebody, but he was kind of trying to make the point that why are you booing when you're booing the wrong person? I don't know what he was yelling about. It was I don't know. It was weird. It was just you had to be there. And
it wasn't good.
It was not good.
You kind of have to, again, I just would say, if this is what you do for enjoyment, maybe find something else to do to enjoy. I think he just maybe being angry was his enjoyment. I don't know.
I truly think some people are not happy unless they're angry. I truly think that.
I do. And that's just, wow.
That's the way to live. It's certainly one way to live. I can promise you.
It's not the way I want to live, my friend.
It's not the way that you should live or want to live.
Yeah.
But certainly. Anyway.
Okay, so here's a question for you.
Hit me.
Do you think, you're just talking about bulletin board material, do you think that matters in 2024?
That matters, like that.
Do you think bulletin board material gets kids fired up? Or
if it's the right thing, I think. If this is an intentional thing, like say Lane Kiffin had said something like that,
okay.
you go, okay, Lane Kiffin's got a history of pretending like he didn't mean to say something and truly meaning it.
Yeah, so that's not the case here. This was truly a slip of the tongue. Yeah.
I don't think this really matters in the grand scheme, but it certainly will be fun to be utilized. It makes it more
Yeah,
fun
I mean,
after the game.
yeah, Lane is the best at it probably. Steve
Oh, yeah.
Spurrier was really, really good
Oh,
at it.
yep.
I mean, so good at it. I mean,
Yep.
my favorite is still something when he was at South Carolina and they asked him about playing at Death Valley. He's like, no, we're not playing LSU this week because they're playing Clemson. I loved that one.
That man just loved being a troll.
Oh, he just
bless him.
absolutely loved it. You heard his line about when the library burned at Auburn, didn't you?
It's reminded me. This sounds
There
familiar.
was a fire in the Auburn library or something like that, and he said the real tragedy was that half of those books hadn't been colored yet, or something like that. I mean, it was, it was beautiful.
How do you not just chuckle at that, even if
Oh,
it's
you have to
against
laugh at
you?
yourself. It's just hilarious, right?
Because it's a head coach saying that.
I know. It's just
man.
hilarious, frankly.
Yeah,
So.
I don't take Mike Elko, though we haven't gotten to know him that well yet, as the
No.
type to. Now, here's the thing. I'm gonna flip this. You're asking about does it matter, and we acknowledge in certain situations. I don't know how to pronounce his name fully yet, but the Indiana coach, Singetti or whatever his name is,
something like that. Yeah,
I think if he said it, he's one of those as well, with as kind of very full of himself. He seems to be.
yes.
You know, he meant it. He's
He
probably
meant it.
another one that you're like, okay, that's our bulletin board material right there.
But I think this was just, like you said, a slip of the tongue. And gosh,
Yeah.
I stand in front of a lot of people every week, and I'm glad the camera's not rolling. I'll just say that.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
You know,
it happens all the time. If he did mean to, like, you know, tongue in cheek say that, he did a great job. He doesn't need to be a head coach. He needs to be an actor, because he's got us all fooled.
And by the way, anytime you talk about being on X or any of those social media platforms, when someone says a game is rigged, an NFL game is rigged or something like that, I'm like, if it's rigged, it's even more impressive. Like, they are the best actors on planet Earth if it's rigged. I mean,
right.
My word, are they good? So,
yeah, people will believe whatever they want to, and you can't convince them otherwise. Sometimes I'm convinced of that. We had somebody today that we had to get rid of on Facebook that, oh my goodness, you can just tell the man is just he's probably best friends with who we were just talking about in the stands. So,
yeah.
Anyway.
All right. Well, anyway, I remember the assignment this weekend is I'm off. I'm going to wine country in California. I'm super excited about it. But everybody show up. Let's pack that place. Let's bring some Jordan Hare magic. Let's pull an upset and let's have fun.
So let me ask you a question, kind of on that note. Yes, by the line and by perception, it would be an upset.
Yeah.
But is it truly an upset, considering the history of what Auburn has done at night games in Jordan Hare? Like, I know for us to say it as orange and blue people, obviously there's bias there. But do you think anybody else would kind of look at that and go, you know, on paper it's an upset, but is it really?
I think it's still an upset, but I think college football fans would kind of shake their head and go, well,
there's Auburn again.
There's Auburn Magic. There's JHS on a Saturday night. I mean, it's like going into death. It's not going into Death Alley, but I mean, it is. It's a really hard place to go win a game on a Saturday night. It just is. And it doesn't matter how good or bad Auburn is. It's a hard place to go, and it's because of no. But part of why it's hard is because no matter what our team's record is, we show up and we make noise. We make it tough on the opponent. There's 90,000 people screaming at you. I mean, where I've been extremely blessed to sit where I sit at pretty much every Auburn game I've ever been to, except for the 2013 Iron Bowl I sat in the end zone where they ran. But sitting there, I think it's the 11th row near the 50-yard line behind the visitors bench. Like, you can not only hear that noise, you can feel that noise coming down on you.
Yeah.
And I mean,
it's literally coming down on you.
What's that?
It's literally coming down on you from the upper deck. So like all of that vibration is just on top of you.
Yeah, and you can feel it. And I mean, I'm sure that's true at Tuscaloosa, Baton Rouge, Tennessee. Like, I'm not saying we're unique, but we are a passionate fan base. It gets loud in there. That scoreboard gets going. The fans get going. I mean, there's a reason why it's a hard place to go win a football game. And so, yeah, I think it would still be an upset given all the circumstances. But I think it's an upset where people would go, hey, it's Auburn. That's what happens on Saturday night in Auburn.
That's kind of how I feel about it. And I think if Auburn does pull off the quote unquote upset, that most people are not going to be like, wow, look at this thing over here. It's like, well, there it just happens again. I mean, I don't know why we keep doubting it. Now we're sitting here saying all that.
It's one of those things, and I'll kind of end with this. In 2009, I remember watching that Iron Bowl on Friday afternoon after Thanksgiving, which I hated too, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And we lost, but we put up a really good fight. I don't believe in moral victories, but that was I firmly believe 2010 doesn't happen without that 2009 Iron Bowl, because you built momentum towards 10. And I feel like we might not make a bowl game. We might not win either of these next two games. I think I think something special is going to happen Saturday night, but we'll see. But this is the kind of game, one of them, especially with these younger kids that are starting to play more, that if we have success next year, we can point to this week and next week as reasons why, if we handle it right. That's just my opinion, and I could be wrong, but I believe that.
I know. I think there's something to that. Obviously, it's incumbent upon the players to show up and show out, but certainly I think the talent is there. I think the desire is there, and the motivation pieces are there. And I'm not even talking about Mike Elko. I'm talking about opportunities for bowl games. I'm talking about opportunities for playing time. I'm talking about opportunities to play in front of Jordan Hare Stadium at nighttime, which hasn't happened a lot, even for some of these younger players that weren't playing as much to start the season when we did have some night games. So couple that all together, the formula is there.
One more thing, I'll let you go. Could a 5-win Auburn team be one of those 5-win bowl teams?
5-win Auburn team? I don't know. I mean, I guess that depends upon how everything
is
figured. But I think it's one of those things. Let's say Auburn wins one of the last two.
Mm-hmm.
If it's Alabama, then people are like, can we get this Auburn team in there? Because they got something figured out. If it's Texas A&M, you kind of look back and you go, this Auburn team probably would have been a pretty interesting bowl game, but you still got to get to 6 wins.
I mean, the reason I asked is last year, I mean, living up here in the Great White North, as you call it, and it literally is white today for the first time, which kind of
very nice.
I'm very happy I'm getting on an airplane tomorrow morning. The Gophers, the Minnesota Gophers, last year were a 5-win team. And when they didn't have enough 6-win teams to fill out the bowl slate, they made a bowl game. I mean, it's like, Quick Lane Bowl or something, but it's still a bowl game. So, and I think for the extra practices, it's worth it.
It is worth it. And here's the thing. And let's talk about what we started the show with this. I don't think you were here for this. We were talking about, maybe you were.
No, I wasn't.
We were talking about why isn't the Iron Bowl played more often at night? And I said, it's money. It really is. They make a lot of TV money in that 2:30 spot for these primetime SEC games.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing can be said for if there is an opportunity, if you can only allow in one 5-win team into a bowl game and Auburn's on the table, you take Auburn. Why? Because they show up. They show up on the TV. They show up in person. They will make money off of Auburn people, and there's something to be proud of in that.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. I agree, my friend. War Eagle, have a great weekend. Enjoy the heck out of Auburn, and something special is going to happen Saturday night. I'm ready for it. So.
I'm waiting to see what that is. So you got me intrigued. We'll see what happens. All right, War Eagle, man. All right, that was Brian. Good to hear from him. Thank you guys so much for calling in tonight. We will take a few more calls if you guys would like to. So please do go ahead and use that call-in link if you are interested in doing so. We will close it down pretty soon here, actually. So if you're wanting to at least test it out, some of you have been here for a while, don't be shy. Don't have to be on camera like Kevin and Brian have. Okay, Brian was on the audio only, so you got both examples tonight. So we'd love to hear from you and talk to you a little bit about what's on your mind tonight. What we'll do, we'll take some more comments and questions, get them in now, and then we'll address them as they come up or as you guys store them for me to take on. But let me remind you of a couple things. I don't have any cue cards ready for you tonight other than one other thing. But what's the schedule coming up for us here at E2C Network? Tomorrow night, live, 8 p.m. Eastern time, we will have our preview and prediction show where we will get together and talk about what's going to happen, what we think is going to happen. We're going to walk through different scenarios and get your predictions, and we'll all come to a collective decision, share all of our different opinions, and we'll share score predictions by the end of the show. We'll also give you some information at the start of it, but that all starts at 8 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. Don't miss it. It's always a great interactive and fun show for you to take part in if you so desire. I will be on campus all this weekend for the most part. Some on Sunday, not a whole lot the whole day, but we will be doing tons of content, which includes a live stream of Tiger Walk at 4:30, 2 hours before kickoff. And then we will do a post-game live stream as well, which will be really, really late. I hope that you can join us for both of those and enjoy being part of the experience, even when you can't be part of the experience there on campus. And we'll also have the Auburn Experience podcast, episode 103 recording on Sunday, most likely at our regular time of 9 Eastern time, but there is a slight possibility we might adjust that, depending upon my travel conditions. We'll just put it that way. So stay tuned for that, but plan on it to be 9 Eastern time at this point. And then we'll get started with a very busy Thanksgiving week with Iron Bowl, Maui Invitational, plenty of other things. I am excited about the next week, but I'm also not excited because I am going to be busy. He says, I'm crashing out dinner right now. Otherwise, I'd call him. We're always welcome to hear from our Georgia perspective over there. So whenever you'd like to. And he's talking about the dogs and jackets are on Black Friday at 7:30 this year. It's all due to the new TV contract, kind of going back to what we were talking about, why certain decisions are made for certain rivalries and things like that. And I think if I know this is not Auburn related, but taking kind of what he's saying here, no offense, I think now this year it may be actually quite interesting because Georgia Tech looks to be okay. Normally, if you've got a rivalry that's not going the right way, you might find other ways to attract interest in it. So maybe doing it on a different day, things like that. I know I do miss the days that Georgia Tech was more formidable. I miss the days of Auburn playing Georgia Tech more regularly. Same could be said for like Florida State and things like that. Some of these traditional out of conference games that we grew accustomed to at least seeing more often than not. That would be great. It was not. Other reminder I didn't do during the I'm trying to fight off a stream. I'm gonna start sneezing like I did during the live stream this Monday. Excuse me. They were good. I've had some like weird, like a nasal cold or something that hit me literally right before the live stream on Monday, and I've been good since then, but I've been fighting off some like symptoms from it and stuff from that. So that's why you heard me making all those noises like my nose. It's like it wanted me to sneeze, but it also got me clogged up. This is Kyle's gripe about his ailments hour, if you didn't know that already. Final note, check out our link descriptions for ways that you can get involved, connect, and support us. One of the ways you can support us in that YouTube description link is by going to Alumni Hall through our affiliate link. If you do that and go buy something, you support them and support us at the same time. So give that a shot. Man, I am trying my hardest to figure out whatever is going on with my my nasalness right now. Key is building Georgia Tech back, no doubt. Key is building Georgia Tech back. He's bringing the hate back to the clear, old-fashioned hate game. I think there is some teams, whether we keep it in the Auburn perspective or not, that I think college football is better if they are more relevant to the conversation. I think Georgia Tech falls into that category. I would probably say I think West Virginia, believe it or not, is one of those teams that when they are better, it feels more, college football feels more complete because you got your Penn States up in that region. Maybe you get a Syracuse who looks okay every once in a while, a Virginia, if you want to count that. But I think, there was a time where West Virginia just seemed like if you ran into them, you were going to have problems. I think those days are gone right now. So I would put West Virginia, Georgia Tech as college football is better when they factor into some form of relevancy. Probably Florida State as well. Miami is back to that too. But if someone rises up, someone else has got to fall. So there's always that give and take. We just got really philosophical tonight. I don't know what's going on. All right. We're going to round out the show there. Anything else? Speaking of old ACC rivals, Louisville in 2015, maybe the last win versus the ACC for us. Is that really true? That can't be true. Maybe it's right. Maybe he's right. I don't know. Anyway, we'll leave it there. Thanks for hanging out. We'll do this again. That was my last note. Most likely not going to have a Auburn family night next Wednesday. We have the Maui Invitational where we don't know when we'll be playing. My hunch is it won't conflict with that. But the reality is I will also be traveling and have to do the post-game show most likely on the road. Couple that with everybody probably getting ready to do Thanksgiving the next day. We'll just call it a Thanksgiving holiday for us. So as of this moment, don't plan for us to have one. We're going through one of those periods of time where it's going to be very spotty with Auburn family nights, but we will get back into the regular habit here very, very soon. So just stay with us, stick with us, and we'll have plenty of opportunities to connect on other shows throughout the week. Thanks for hanging out tonight. And whenever we see you again on the next Auburn family night, another live stream or some other piece of content, we appreciate you being here, hanging out with us, and being part of our little family within the Auburn family. Till I talk to you again, War Eagle.